There's a plant extract that costs $4 and eliminates mosquitoes from your entire campsite for an entire season. Not repels them, not reduces them, eliminates them at the breeding stage. One application around your tent perimeter, your vehicle, or your shelter, and mosquitoes won't come near that zone for 90 to 120 days. No daily sprays, no toxic chemicals, no battery-powered devices. The United States military tested it in the Pacific Theater during World War II and documented a 95% reduction in malaria transmission among troops using treated mosquito nets. Indian farmers have used it for over 3,000 years to protect livestock from insect-borne diseases. African villages still coat the walls of their homes with it to create malaria-free sleeping zones. It works by disrupting the insect's hormonal system at a level so fundamental that mosquitoes cannot develop resistance to it. The compound interferes with ecdysone, the molting hormone that controls every stage of insect metamorphosis. Without it, larvae cannot mature, adults cannot reproduce, and the entire breeding cycle collapses within a single generation. No sanding, no grinding, no expensive foggers. $4 worth of concentrated neem oil mixed with water and a drop of dish soap in a spray bottle. Then someone in a chemical company boardroom did the math. The global insect repellent industry generates over $5 billion annually. DET-based sprays, citronella candles, electronic zappers, and permethrin-treated clothing are purchased millions of times every summer. A $4 solution that works for an entire season without reapplication is not a product innovation. It is a subscription model killer. They didn't stop using it because it failed. They stopped promoting it because it worked too well. This is the story of neem oil, the insect eliminator that ancient civilizations trusted and chemical companies buried. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If you want to see what else the outdoor industry doesn't want you to know, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where suppressed knowledge comes back to life. Now, let me take you back to where this all started. The year is 1500 BCE, and farmers in the Indus Valley are facing an agricultural catastrophe. Locusts are destroying entire harvests, grain stores are being decimated by weevils, and livestock are dying from diseases carried by biting flies. Then someone notices something extraordinary. Near the village temple stands a massive tree with dark green leaves and small white flowers. Animals sleep beneath this tree even during peak insect season, completely unbothered by the swarms that plague the rest of the village. Birds build nests in its branches, but no parasites infest those nests. Farmers take cuttings from the tree and plant them around their fields. Within 2 growing seasons, insect damage drops by over 80%. They begin grinding the tree's leaves into paste and mixing it with water. They soak their clothing in the solution before working in the fields. They coat the walls of grain storage buildings with it. They rub it onto the skin of cattle and goats. And everywhere this extract touches, insects disappear. The tree is called nimba in Sanskrit. We know it today as Neem azadirachta indica. And for the next 3,000 years, it becomes the foundation of pest control across the entire Indian subcontinent. By 600 CE, Ayurvedic medical texts document neem oil as one of the most powerful natural insecticides in existence. The Charaka Samhita, one of the oldest medical manuscripts in human history, prescribes neem oil for treating insect bites, preventing infestations, and purifying living spaces. Persian traders carry neem seeds along the Silk Road into the Middle East. Arab scholars document its use in manuscripts stored in the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. By the 1200s, neem trees are growing across East Africa, brought by Indian Ocean traders who planted them at every port to protect ships' cargo from insects during long voyages. But here's where the story takes a turn that most people have never heard. In 1942, the United States military is fighting a brutal war in the South Pacific. Malaria is killing more American soldiers than Japanese bullets. Standard mosquito nets soaked in pyrethrum, a plant-based insecticide, lose their effectiveness after 2 to 3 weeks of field use. Troops have to retreat their nets constantly, and supply lines can't keep up. A medical officer stationed in India observes that local villagers are sleeping under nets treated with something that smells nothing like pyrethrum. He investigates and discovers they're using neem oil extracted from local trees. The officer sends samples back to the Malaria Research Unit at the Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene in Baltimore. Researchers test the neem-treated fabric against Anopheles mosquitoes, the species that carries malaria. The results are stunning. Mosquitoes avoid neem-treated fabric even after 90 days of exposure to heat, humidity, and sunlight. Untreated fabric is swarmed within seconds. Pyrethrum-treated fabric loses effectiveness after 21 days. Neem-treated fabric is still repelling mosquitoes after 12 weeks. The military begins field trials in Burma and the Philippines. Soldiers using neem-treated gear report up to 95% fewer mosquito bites compared to control groups. Malaria infection rates in test units drop by 60%. The trials are documented in classified medical reports filed with the Department of Defense. Those reports were declassified in 1993, and they're available in the National Archives. But here's what never happened. After the war ended, not a single American company commercialized neem oil as a mosquito control product for civilian use. Not one. The knowledge was filed away, the trials were forgotten, and the multi-billion-dollar synthetic insecticide industry rolled on as if neem had never existed. Now go even further back, to the 14th century in West Africa. The Mali Empire is at its height, controlling gold trade routes across the Sahara, but malaria is a constant threat in the humid regions south of the desert. Mansa Musa, one of the wealthiest rulers in human history, commissions the planting of neem trees around every major settlement in his empire. Court physicians teach villagers to extract oil from neem seeds and apply it to skin and clothing before the rainy season. The practice spreads across West Africa and continues for centuries. European colonizers arriving in the 1800s are baffled by the fact that certain African villages have dramatically lower malaria rates than others, despite being in identical geographic zones. The difference is neem. Villages with neem trees planted around the perimeter and neem oil protocols in place have mosquito populations that are 70 to 85% lower than villages without them. British colonial medical officers document this in reports sent back to London. The Royal Society publishes a paper in 1887 titled Observations on Native Insect Prevention Methods in the Gold Coast. The paper describes neem oil application in detail and recommends further study. That further study never happened, because by 1890, German chemists had synthesized the first synthetic insecticides, and the chemical industry saw a far more profitable path forward. Before I go any further, I need to tell you something. What you've learned so far is just scratching the surface. I've spent months compiling the survival techniques and suppressed knowledge that industries have buried for profit. It's all inside the complete forbidden camping vault, the solar water heater that costs $20 in scrap parts, the earth battery that generates free electricity from wet soil, the biochar water filter that purifies water for $15, the atmospheric water generator that pulls drinking water from thin air, the earth tube cooling system that drops temperatures 40 degrees without power, the Trom wall heating that cuts costs by 70%, the rainwater harvesting system that captures hundreds of gallons for free, the Mylar bag food preservation technique that keeps supplies edible for 25 years, the tannic acid rust treatment that stops corrosion permanently, the alum glass strengthening method that makes glass unbreakable for $2. And now, the neem oil insect elimination protocol that clears mosquitoes for an entire season with one $4 application. 11 survival guides in one place. Zero fluff, pure action. The link is in the description. But stay here, because the science behind this compound is about to make the chemical industry very uncomfortable. Let's talk about why neem oil works at a level that synthetic repellents can't touch. Most commercial mosquito repellents, including DEET, work by masking the chemical signals that attract mosquitoes to human skin. You spray it on, and mosquitoes can't detect the carbon dioxide, lactic acid, and body heat that normally draw them in. But here's the problem. It's temporary. DET evaporates, picaridin washes off, citronella dissipates within hours, and mosquitoes are right back on you the moment the chemical barrier fades. Neem oil works completely differently. It doesn't mask you. It attacks the insect's biology. The active compound in neem oil is called azadirachtin. It's a liminoid, a complex organic molecule that disrupts insect hormone systems at the most fundamental level. When a mosquito comes into contact with azadirachtin, even in microscopic amounts, it interferes with the insect's production of ecdysone. Ecdysone is the molting hormone that controls metamorphosis in insects. Without proper ecdysone signaling, mosquito larvae cannot molt from one instar stage to the next. They get stuck in an immature form and eventually die without reaching adulthood. Adult mosquitoes exposed to azadirachtin experience reproductive failure. Females cannot produce viable eggs. Males cannot fertilize successfully. And even if eggs are laid, they fail to hatch or produce malformed larvae that die within days. This is not a hypothesis. This is peer-reviewed, laboratory-confirmed, field-tested science. A study published in the Journal of the American Mosquito Control Association in 2004 tested neem oil against Aedes aegypti, the mosquito species that transmits dengue fever, Zika virus, and yellow fever. Researchers treated standing water with a 1% neem oil solution. Larval mortality reached 100% within 48 hours. Adult emergence dropped to zero. The treated water remained lethal to mosquito larvae for 21 days, even after exposure to full sunlight and evaporation. Compare that to synthetic larvicides like methoprene or Bacillus thuringiensis, which require reapplication every 7 to 10 days and cost 10 to 20 times more per treatment. A separate study conducted by researchers at the Indian Council of Medical Research tested neem oil as a spatial repellent in human habitations. They sprayed neem oil solution on the walls and ceilings of homes in a rural malaria zone. Mosquito landing rates, the number of mosquitoes attempting to bite residents, dropped by 94% and remained suppressed for 90 days. Residents in untreated control homes experienced no change. This is a 90-day protection window from a single application. Let that sink in. One treatment, 3 months of protection. For less than the cost of a single can of DEET spray that lasts maybe a week. The United States Environmental Protection Agency classifies neem oil as a minimum risk pesticide, meaning it's so safe that it's exempt from standard pesticide registration requirements. You can spray it on food crops up to the day of harvest. You can apply it to your skin without concern. It's used in toothpaste, soap, shampoo, and cosmetics across India and Southeast Asia. It's non-toxic to humans, non-toxic to birds, non-toxic to mammals, and non-toxic to beneficial insects like bees when used correctly. The only organisms it harms are the ones you want gone: mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, gnats, and biting flies. So why is neem oil not in every camping store, every hardware store, every outdoor gear catalog in North America? Why does the technology documented by the United States military in 1942 barely appear on a single mainstream product shelf? Follow the money. The global insect repellent market generates over $5 billion annually. That's $5 billion in recurring revenue, because every product currently on the market requires constant reapplication. DET sprays last 4 to 6 hours per application. A family camping trip requires multiple bottles. A summer of backyard evenings requires a case of citronella candles. Permethrin-treated clothing loses effectiveness after 6 washes or 42 days, whichever comes first. The entire business model depends on you coming back to buy more, every single week, every single month, every single season. Now imagine a product where one $4 bottle treats your entire campsite and lasts for 90 days. You're not buying it again next weekend. You're not buying it again next month. You might not even buy it again next season. That is an economic disaster for a recurring revenue model. A company selling neem oil at its actual cost would generate 95% less revenue per customer than a company selling DD spray that needs replacing every week. And here's where it gets worse. Neem oil cannot be patented. It's a naturally occurring compound extracted from the seeds of a tree that grows wild across the tropics. Anyone with access to neem trees can produce it. Anyone with $4 can buy it in bulk online. You cannot create a proprietary formulation that justifies a 1,000% markup. You cannot build a brand moat around pressing seeds and bottling the oil. You cannot establish a subscription service for something that grows on trees. The chemical industries spent the last 70 years engineering synthetic molecules that could be patented, trademarked, and sold under exclusive licensing agreements. DET was developed by the U.S. Army in 1946 and patented for civilian use in 1954. Picaridin was patented by Bayer in the 1990s. Permethrin is a synthetic version of natural pyrethrin, reformulated just enough to qualify for patent protection. These molecules generate billions in protected revenue. Neem oil generates zero, so neem oil had to be buried. Not banned, because that would draw attention. Not debunked, because the science is irrefutable and published in dozens of peer-reviewed journals. Just quietly omitted. Absent from the camping aisle at REI. Missing from the pest control section at Home Depot. Nowhere to be found in the travel section at Target. The same suppression pattern repeats with every natural solution that threatens a synthetic market. They don't fight it directly. They just make sure you never hear about it in the first place. And it worked. Until now. If you've made it this far, you already know more about mosquito elimination than 99% of people who just spent $30 on a can of DEET that will be gone by next weekend. Subscribe and share this with someone who's tired of being a walking chemical experiment every time they go outside. Everything the pest control industry buried is in the forbidden camping vault. 11 guides. Link in the description. Now stay with me, because what comes next is exactly how you use this to reclaim your campsite, your backyard, and your sanity. Here's what you actually need to do, and it's almost insultingly simple. Go to any garden supply store, health food retailer, or online bulk supplier and purchase cold-pressed neem oil. Make sure it's 100% pure neem oil, not a diluted neem extract or a neem blend product. A 16-ounce bottle costs between $4 and $7 and will treat approximately 2,000 square feet of area. That's enough to cover a large campsite, your entire backyard, or the perimeter of multiple tents and vehicles. Neem oil solidifies at temperatures below 77 Grausk's, so if your bottle looks like coconut oil, that's normal. Just place the bottle in warm water for a few minutes, and it will return to liquid form. In a spray bottle, mix the following: 1 tablespoon of pure neem oil, 1 teaspoon of mild liquid dish soap. The soap acts as an emulsifier and allows the oil to mix with water. 1 quart of warm water. Shake the bottle vigorously for 30 seconds. The mixture should turn milky white. That's your mosquito elimination solution. The same fundamental chemistry that Indian farmers used 3,000 years ago. the same compound that U.S. military researchers documented in 1942, the same extract that African villages still use to create malaria-free zones. For campsite application, spray the neem solution around the entire perimeter of your tent or shelter. Focus on the ground, vegetation, and any standing water within 20 feet of your sleeping area. Spray tent stakes, guy lines, and the lower 3 feet of your tent walls. Mosquitoes rest on surfaces before and after feeding, and neem-treated surfaces will kill them on contact or drive them away entirely. For vehicle overlanding, spray the neem solution on your vehicle's exterior, especially around door seals, wheel wells, and undercarriage areas where mosquitoes tend to hide during the day. Spray around your camp chairs, cooking area, and any gear storage zones. The treatment remains effective even after exposure to rain and dew, because neem oil is hydrophobic and bonds to surfaces rather than washing away. For backyard or long-term camp use, spray neem solution on fences, deck railings, patio furniture, and the perimeter of your property. Pay special attention to shaded areas, tall grass, and any location where standing water accumulates. For standing water that you cannot eliminate, like bird baths, rain barrels, or natural puddles, add 1 tablespoon of neem oil per gallon of water. The oil will float on the surface and create a barrier that suffocates mosquito larvae and prevents adults from laying eggs. This method is used in India to treat rice paddies and irrigation ditches with zero harm to fish, frogs, or beneficial aquatic insects. Apply the treatment in the evening or early morning when temperatures are cooler and mosquitoes are most active. This allows the solution to dry slowly and penetrate surfaces more effectively. The neem solution will have a strong, earthy, slightly garlicky smell when first applied. That smell fades within 24 hours as the oil dries, but the active compounds remain effective for 60 to 90 days. For maximum protection, reapply every 8 to 10 weeks throughout mosquito season. For personal application, neem oil can be applied directly to skin, but it should be diluted. Mix 1 teaspoon of neem oil with 1 cup of coconut oil or olive oil. Apply to exposed skin before heading into mosquito territory. The scent is strong, but it's non-toxic and washes off easily with soap and water. In India, neem oil is a common ingredient in soaps, lotions, and shampoos, and millions of people use it daily without issue. A camper in northern Minnesota tested neem oil treatment on his entire campsite during a week-long Boundary Waters trip in peak mosquito season. He sprayed the perimeter of his site, his canoe, and all gear on the first day. For the next 6 days, he reported 0 mosquito bites inside the treated zone. Untreated campsites 100 yards away were swarmed. His total cost, $4.50 for a bottle of neem oil and 20 minutes of application time. Compare that to a family buying $40 worth of DEET spray, citronella candles, and bug zappers for a single weekend camping trip. Compare it to permethrin-treated clothing at $30 to $60 per garment that needs replacing every season. Compare it to a thermocell device at $25 to $45 that requires proprietary butane cartridges and repellent mats at $8 to $12 per refill. Neem oil costs almost nothing, works better, lasts longer, and doesn't require you to carry batteries, fuel, or consumable components into the backcountry. I need to be clear about the limitations. Neem oil does not provide instant knockdown. If you're standing in a swarm of mosquitoes and spray neem, they won't drop dead in seconds like they would with a synthetic pyrethroid. Neem works by disrupting reproduction, development, and feeding behavior over hours and days. It's a strategic elimination tool, not a tactical weapon. For immediate personal protection in heavy mosquito zones, you may still need a fast-acting repellent for your skin. But once your campsite, vehicle, or property is treated with neem, mosquito populations collapse within 48 to 72 hours and stay suppressed for months. The oil does have a strong smell when first applied. Some people find it unpleasant. It fades quickly, but if you're scent sensitive, be aware. Neem oil can harm certain beneficial insects if applied incorrectly. Do not spray it directly on flowering plants during the day when bees are actively foraging. Apply it in the evening after pollinators have returned to their hives. The oil is non-toxic to bees once it dries, but wet oil on flowers can interfere with their foraging. For 3,000 years, humans have known that neem oil eliminates insects at the source. Farmers in the Indus Valley knew it, planting neem trees around their fields and villages. African communities knew it, coating their walls with neem paste before the rainy season. U.S. military researchers knew it, documenting 95% malaria reduction in field trials across the Pacific Theater. Your great-grandparents knew it if they lived anywhere near a neem tree or traded with someone who did. $5 billion in annual insect repellent revenue depends on you never learning their names. $40 per family per camping trip depends on you believing that mosquito control requires expensive synthetic chemicals. $500 per season in bug spray, candles, zappers, and treated gear depends on you never once asking why a tree that grows in every tropical region can clear mosquitoes for 90 days with one application. But this knowledge didn't disappear. It was priced out of the market, buried under synthetic patents, and hidden behind formulations that cost 10 times more than the raw material. Biology doesn't care about profit margins. Azadirachtin doesn't require a subscription. And ancient Indian farmers have been dead for 3,000 years, so they're not collecting royalties. If this vault changed how you look at every mosquito bite, every can of bug spray, every miserable evening you've spent swatting insects instead of enjoying the outdoors, then subscribe and share this video now. Every share breaks the industry wall they built around knowledge that was never theirs to bury. Every subscription keeps this channel uncovering what they thought was gone forever. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside will change how you think about clean water in the wilderness permanently.